Because democracy basically means government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
And the budget will balance itself.
Do I have to sue CNN?
Legacy doesn't mean nothing. I'm gonna die and it's gonna be over.
This is Hargedius Takes. Thank you for joining me. With the Trudeau era of mass migration, Canada has been infiltrated and infested with foreign criminals. This can be expected. I mean, why do we lock our doors or have fenced yards? Why do the apartment complexes and rich neighborhoods have locked gates? To keep out unwanted intruders. This is exactly the reason why countries that have reasonable and aware politicians in power have and maintain border controls for their nation, to keep out unwanted intruders. One group in particular that have found a comfortable home in Canada to perform crimes is, you guessed it, the Singhs of Punjab. This makes sense as the 2021 census shows that Indians are the largest non-European ethnic group in the country and form the fastest growing national origin in Canada. The Indian ethnic population has grown from about 165,000 in 1981 to 1.8 million plus today. For there to be crime within any significant population is not a surprise. And during the 90s and 2000s, a number of Indian youth who were actually born in Canada got involved in a drug and gang crime. However, the reason today in the 2020s crime from this particular group is concerning is because now the immigrants themselves are becoming the source of crime, meaning Canada is officially importing crime, which it should not accept. In our first case, we have 22-year-old Arshdeep Singh of Brampton, an international student from, you guessed it, the Punjab. He was arrested for sexually assaulting 3 women who were waiting at bus stops by imitating being an Uber driver. All 3 women were also Punjabi speaking of Indian ethnicity, and why they got into a car with a random guy pulling up just because he says he's an Uber driver when they didn't call him on their own app, I have no fucking idea. Superintendent David Kenny told reporters the accused came to Canada in December 2022 on a student visa but stopped short of saying where he went to school and said that part is under investigation. It's very clear what his modus operandi was. He would approach South Asian females in their early 20s and offer rideshare services, said the superintendent. The way the accused was operating, we definitely believe there are other victims and we're concerned that they haven't come forward yet. End quote. Here's the clip.
They're shocking, but they are representative of what happened.
22-year-old Arshdeep Singh has now been arrested in connection to these attacks and is facing numerous charges, including kidnapping, sexual assault with a weapon, and sexual assault by strangulation.
The way that the accused was operating, we definitely believe there are other victims, and we're concerned that they haven't come forward yet.
Investigators say they quickly realized the sexual assaults were connected and put out public safety alerts in both English and Punjabi back on November 17th.
Investigators are seeking anyone with dash camera footage or video surveillance to come forward.
These generated tips, and a week and a half later, they say the suspect was located in London, Ontario. Police say the 22-year-old is from India and came to Brampton about 2 years ago on a student visa.
In our second case, we have a group of 4 international students from, you guessed it, the Punjab. International students, eh? I'm starting to notice a pattern here. So it's reported that in the early hours of November 24, Halton Regional Police were called to neighborhoods in the area of Rosehill Drive and Shady Glen Road after reports of vehicles that had been broken into overnight. In a release Tuesday, cops said the suspects located vehicles parked in residential driveways and on the street and broke the windows of 25 vehicles to steal property including cash, debit cards, and credit cards, which were used at commercial locations in the GTA. On Sunday around 1:35 a.m., police responded to a report of a vehicle being broken into on Meadow Marsh Crescent. A white Civic was seen leaving the area and officers performed a traffic stop. As a result, Gurparkar Singh, 19, Akshdeep Singh, 20, Kanavpreet Singh, 20, and Adilpreet Singh, 21, all from Brampton, were charged with mischief under $5,000. Cops noted in their release that each accused is currently in Canada on a student visa. So much for respecting the terms of their fucking permits. In our third case, 5 more people have been arrested as part of a Peel Police investigation into extortion-related incidents they say target the South Asian business community in Brampton and Mississauga. All of them have been conditionally released from custody. And this is what happens. Whenever a large group of immigrants arrives, the criminal elements that were targeting them back home follow them and simply start targeting them abroad. They do this because they know how their fellow immigrant group thinks and acts, and also they can communicate with them more clearly. This is also why it's in the best interest of immigrants themselves who legally come to Canada to be in favor of limited and sensible immigration policies. And of course, Canada's stupid-ass legal system lets these people who demonstrate clearly they have no problem with threatening the lives of people or using weapons free on bail instantly to walk among us. Now, there has been a task force launched to investigate these crimes. Here from thestar.com to add some context to what's been going on. Since launching the task force, officers have investigated over 60 incidents, made 21 arrests, and laid 154 criminal charges. The investigations have also led to the recovery of 6 stolen vehicles, the seizure of 20 guns, over 11 kilograms of methamphetamines, and over $10,000 related to crime. Police said the victims of these incidents are often contacted through social media platforms like WhatsApp and Facebook or through phone calls. The messages usually include demands for large amounts of money, often Canadian dollars or Indian rupees, either in cash or electronic transfers, under the threat of harm against the target and their families. Some incidents have resulted in damage to property or shootings. The threats have targeted a variety of businesses, including restaurants, bakeries, trucking and transport companies, used car dealerships, and jewelry stores. The recently arrested Harmanjeet Singh, 25, of Brampton, was arrested on July 4th for an incident in May. He was charged with extortion, uttering threats to cause bodily harm or death, pointing a firearm, assault with a weapon, and obstructing a peace officer. Tejinder Tatla, 44, of Brampton, was arrested on July 25 for threats that were made toward a business owner and his family members in June. He has been charged with extortion and unsafe storage of firearms. Ruxar Achiksai, 21, of Brampton, was arrested on July 30th for incidents dating back to September the previous year. She was charged with extortion and mischief under $5,000. Dinesh Kumar, 24, of Hamilton, was arrested on August 14th for an incident in July. He was charged with extortion and was released from custody with a future court date and conditions to abide by. Here's a CBC clip related to these extortion incidents.
Peel police near Toronto say there's progress after a string of violent extortion attempts, South Asian business owners the targets.
The team is currently investigating 29 extortions that date back to the beginning of November 2023. Of those 29, 9 of the incidents have involved shootings with multiple rounds being fired.
5 arrests along with the seizure of weapons and cell phones believed to have been used to make threats.
Individual suspects were using social media or internet-based messaging platforms to contact victims under the demand for money with the threat of violence.
CBC News contacted numerous victims in Brampton, Ontario. None would talk, even anonymously, for fear of reprisal.
The whole, life's been turned in upside and down.
This lawyer, who represents targeted business owners, says people are afraid.
These folks stop picking up the phone calls, and that's also harming their business. Stop getting out of their homes, going home early. Their staff's quitting.
Mayors of Brampton, Ontario and Surrey, BC have called for action from Ottawa, saying extortion attempts that demand either dollars or rupees are connected to organized crime in India.
And this just in, right when I thought it was safe to wrap up this report, CBC reports on December 17, Manpreet Gill, a Toronto area man, likely Brampton, pled guilty to charges related to a liquor store robbery and a getaway in a cargo van which resulted in the deaths of 4 people. So the fiery multi-vehicle collision on Highway 401 in Whitby, Ontario, which remains under investigation by Ontario's police watchdog, killed 4 people, including an infant. Manpreet Gill, the sole passenger riding in the cargo van, pursued by police, faced 13 charges, including robbery, but was not charged in connection with the deaths or the chase. In Oshawa, Ontario, court heard last month that he acted as the lookout during the liquor store robbery in a nearby Clarington on April 29, according to records reviewed by CBC News. Speaking through a Punjabi language interpreter in court last month, he pleaded guilty to 3 counts, including the lesser charge of theft under $5,000. Other charges were withdrawn. So, Ontario Court Justice Russell Wood agreed with a joint sentencing submission from the Crown and defense, handing Gill a 5.5-month jail term amounting to more than time served and 2 years probation. Piece of shit judge should be sentenced to 5.5 months in jail for being such a bitch himself. How much theft and killing does someone have to be involved in to get even 1 year in jail, according to this judge? Gill also pled guilty to breaching probation and a release order. Court heard it was the second time in the past 2 years that he was found to be breaching his bail conditions, as Gill struggled with opioid addiction. So Canada now openly accepts other countries' out-of-control drug addict psychopaths into our society. So according to Durham Regional Police, the suspect pulled a knife on an off-duty officer at the store, then took off in a U-Haul van. After a high-speed police chase through Durham region, east of Toronto, several more police vehicles then pursued the van as it sped onto Highway 401 in the opposite direction of traffic. The chase ended in a multi-vehicle crash that killed a 3-month-old Aditya Vivan and his 2 paternal grandparents visiting from India. The infant's parents were also both injured. The cargo van driver, later identified as Gagandeep Singh, 21, was the 4th person killed in the collision. Gill was seriously injured. Well, thank God and thank goodness that one of the perpetrators, Gill's co-conspirator here, Gagandeep Singh, died during the incident and is no longer around to threaten law-abiding people here in Canada. Too bad that Manpreet Gill was not injured seriously enough to also die in the incident. Just our luck. Crime anywhere has to ultimately make a profit to stay in business. That's why criminal organizations and criminals themselves will always migrate from target poor areas to target rich areas. Canada is a target rich area, and our gay leaders such as Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Immigration Ministers Mark Miller and formerly Sean Fraser have left the doors to Canada wide open and our entire country open to repeatedly getting fucked in the ass by foreign crime groups. I've focused on one group here, but there are others as well. Also, one would think the person directly responsible for applying justice in Canada should be the Justice Minister, and he is Arif Virani, who is an African-born Indian, which means he likely doesn't give a fuck about Canadians, as he's not even from here. He's just coasting to his pension. Let me know what you think below, and if you found value in this report, hit like and subscribe. I'll see you later.